If you're a Christian, how do you engage with secular sources? That's the question we're going to be answering in this edition of Dr. Todd Explains. Hello, everyone. I wanted to give you a quick example of things that I have to do quite often. And I hope that by virtue of this video, you'll be able to accomplish the same thing in a way that won't cause too much anxiety for you. You know, as a counselor, I teach several courses at several institutions, and some of the institutions are designed for licensure, for instance. And those that are designed for licensure will often require textbooks, for instance, that are just simply not very Christ-like. And so the question becomes, they're sort of required, you have to teach them. How do you teach those textbooks and stay faithful to the gospel? Well, for one thing, you have to be able to understand what the authors are saying so that you can provide a Christian alternative. One of the books that I'm going to have to teach in this next semester is this one, Issues in Ethics in the Helping Professions. And I've got to tell you, the authors are anti-Christian, quite frankly. So how am I going to help future Christian counselors work through that? Well, John Piper has written a book recently called Foundations for Lifelong Learning, and it's the subtitle is Education in Serious Joy. And Piper has a process, or he calls them habits of the mind and heart. I think there's about 6 of them. And I want to kind of go through what he says in his book here. And that's the similar approach that I'll take, and I think you should take as well. We want to continue, Piper says, to grow continually in the ability to do these 6 things. First, to observe the world and the Word accurately and thoroughly. So I need to make sure I understand what's being written, coming to terms with the author, what the authors mean, and I need to make sure that I see it clearly. Second habit of mind and heart is to understand clearly what we have observed. Piper there is saying, look, you have to take it in, but you have to comprehend it as well. And then third, to evaluate fairly what we have understood by discerning what is true and valuable. It's the old saying, you chew up the meat, spit out the bones. But the idea here is to make sure that what you're evaluating, you understand properly. Because if you evaluate before you understand, you're being prejudiced. And Piper says, don't do that. He says, evaluate fairly after you've observed what's there and understood what the author's saying, and then compare it to God's Word. Now, the fourth habit of mind is to feel with proper intensity the worth or futility of what you've evaluated. Remember, good writing seeks to elicit the emotions. You know when you're being manipulated because you feel annoyed, for instance. You know when you're being manipulated in other instances when you feel scared. So the idea is to have the proper feeling associated with what you've evaluated. Then the next habit of heart is to apply in speech and writing the deeds that we've observed and understood. Let me go back to that. To apply wisely and helpfully in life what we understand and feel. So there are things there. Remember how I said a minute ago, the old Southern saying of chew up the meat, spit out the bones. There is something there possibly for you to learn. So you take that and then you apply it for God's glory, and you discard the rest. And then the last habit of heart is to express in speech and writing and deeds what we've observed, understood, evaluated, felt, and applied in such a way that its accuracy, clarity, truth, worth, and helpfulness may be known and enjoyed and applied by others for the glory of Christ. So make sure that you express it in a way. Make something of what you have learned. So let me go through those habits of mind and heart again. Observation, understanding, evaluation, feeling, application, and expression. I want to encourage you by saying this. We live in a post-Christian world. As a result, you're going to be constantly bombarded with not only non-Christian works and text and thoughts and beliefs and assumptions, but you're going to be confronted with anti-Christian thoughts, beliefs, perspectives, assumptions. And so you have to be able to navigate this thoughtfully, wisely, and carefully. And if you'll do so, you can actually be that light that shines on a hill, because only Christians truly understand the comprehensiveness of reality of the God who is there. So as you do that, walk wisely. If you have any questions, or if you've thought of how you might apply this specifically to something you're facing, go ahead and put it in the comments. I'd like to interact with you there. Also, if you like what I'm doing here, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and the notification bell so you don't miss any future videos. I hope that's been helpful. God bless, and I'll talk to you in the next video.